Doors unlocked. Love you, bye. We interrupt this broadcast. I sat down to film, and then my mother calls, which is fine. I love my mother. They're coming out to the house, so I've got to get this video done quick. One day my eyeballs aren't going to... There we go. One day my eyeballs are not going to hurt so much, and I won't have to wear these glasses in a video. So let's talk about... I'm currently trying to pull up my Notion. If you follow my Instagram, I usually will post a... like an overview, a general factual overview. I read 15 books in the month of February, 5,905 pages. 4 of those reads were my TBR. 1 was a complete series. It is the, and then 4 of those books that I read were my choice. And then I had 2 requested books that I read, that people had requested I read. So total, I gave out 48 stars. Real quick, we're going to get this one off of the pile. This is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I soft DNF'd this. I don't know if it's something that I wasn't into or if it was just something that I need to be in the mood to read. So I do not count, before we go any further, I don't count books that I DNF or soft DNF. I'm not going to get rid of it because I think maybe somewhere down the line I might get a wild hair at my butt and be in the mood to read this. I can be quite a bit of a mood reader. So I wanted to keep it, but I am telling y'all that for February I did DNF this book. I don't rate books, I DNF. I read Marked. Marked is the first book of the House of Night series. I read this whole series when I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, and I loved it back then. I wanted to try and see if I still loved it now, to see if it really like stood the test of time. I will say, I don't think it does. I think you kind of have to be really into YA fantasy, even though there is kind of a love story in this series. I just did not like it as much as I remember liking it back then. I ended up rating this a 2-star. It was just a 2-star read for me. If you'd asked me 15 or so years ago, I probably would have told you that this was a 4-star read. It's just a 2-star now. So there you go. I will probably keep it on the shelf for the kids, and if they don't get to it, that's probably going to be a book I unhaul. I can definitely tell you this next one is a book I unhaul. I give this 2 stars. All That We Never Were by Alice Kellen. Her writing style, the story itself is really good. And I bought the romance in it, but her writing is just not my style. And that's okay. We're not always going to love every author's writing style. I will not be reading the second book. It just did not speak to me. This is a story about Leah, who is having to stay with her brother's best friend Axel because he has to travel for work, and they end up falling for each other. She lost her parents, so she's super quiet, and he ends up bringing life back into her. And the story is so good, but the writing style is just not my thing. So 2 stars. I know plenty of people who love this book. I'm just not one of them. We're saving the best for last, I promise. Emily Henry's Happy Place. I gave this one 4 stars. It is not a spicy book. So if there's some parts of it that can be like kind of spicy, but not really. So if you like a good fluffy read, I really loved reading the story of Harriet and Win. I feel like it is kind of a miscommunication trope. So if you are not a big miscommunication trope fan, you might not like this, but I just really enjoyed the journey that we went on with them. I really felt their chemistry. I really felt Win's love for Harriet. Like, that was one of my favorite parts of this entire story. And I did love that it wasn't heavily reliant on spice. It's really good. 4 stars. Because it's very hard for me to give a book 5 stars. If I give a book 5 stars, it's because I'm absolutely in love with it. I either look forward to annotating this book, or it's a book I can reread over and over and over again. Which brings us to, I read this entire series in a reading vlog that should be live by the time you guys see the February wrap up. No. So this will go up on Monday, and then this goes up on Monday, and then on Saturday, the vlog for this reading series will be live. So this is the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. I'm just going to go through real quick and tell you what I thought about them. And then if you watch the vlog, you'll get a more in-depth kind of spoilery video on them. But this is Flawless. This is about Rhett and Summer, and I gave Flawless 3 stars. Then I read Heartless. Heartless was a 5-star read for me, specifically because of Cade and Willa. I loved their story. I loved this romance. The next one in the series was Powerless. This one was about Jasper and Sloane, and I gave Powerless 4 stars. The story was okay. The story was okay. I will go ahead and spoil this for y'all. Sometimes the men in these books were repetitive. But if you like a dominating man, this is the book for you. I gave it a 4 stars. The next book was Reckless. This was about Theo and Winter. And I gave this book a 5 stars because Theo was a breath of fresh air. Theo is my book boyfriend. I cannot say that enough. Theo absolutely has killed every book boyfriend I've ever had before. He was funny. He was considerate. Just read it. Just read it. And then Hopeless is the last book in the Chestnut Springs series. I gave Hopeless 4 stars. Again, I was a little annoyed by minor things in this book, so it only got 4 stars. Overall, I rated this series 5 stars. I definitely think it's worth reading if you only read it for Reckless and Heartless. My God, those 2 books alone are worth reading the whole series. So this is a 5-star series for me overall. Try and put these right here. Go through my Kindle. I only gave myself 5 books for my TBR in February, which means that I did not give myself enough to read. So I ended up defaulting to my Kindle a lot. I need to put my glasses on. I definitely can't see this, and you're definitely going to see the glare, so apologies. The first one that I read was Twisted Love by Anna Wang. It was Twisted Love. I really like Twisted Love. The concept is really good. I did end up giving it 3 stars, and it was just a good read. That's it. It was just a good read. I did like the spice in it. The spice was really good. It was really well done. There were a few parts of the spice that I think were unnecessary. There was also a few chapters in that book that I think could have been cut out. I think the ending was unnecessary. I really think that she could have just made them an HEA without going into the future. So 3 stars. Definitely worth the read. I did not love it enough yet to pick up the second book, but I definitely do want to read the second one in the series. I heard it's better. The next one that I read on my own was Curated by Nellie Wilson. I gave this a 1 star. It read like a teenager wrote it. I did not like it at all. It just was not good. And I had high hopes for it. Maybe I had high hopes for it because I was interested in a romance that took place in a museum. I think people who read that book kind of look forward to that the most. I just could not get behind it. There was nothing about the writing style or the storyline, or I felt like the MMC in that book was very childish in his actions and the way that he decided to, the way you read him. I just couldn't. I don't want to like tear an author down, but I just could not get into that one. It wasn't for me. It may be for you. It's free on Kindle. Go check it out. Maybe you'll like it. The next one I read on my own was Say the Words by Jenny Carrick. This was the last read in February for me. I literally just finished it. I've never read Jenny Carrick before. I didn't have a lot of high expectations going into it. It just looked like another cowboy romance. And that's exactly what it was. It was about a horse trainer and an interior designer and the horse trainer is her ex-boyfriend's big brother, and her ex-boyfriend cheated on her, and the brother was madly in love with her, but she was off limits because of his brother. So this gave the opening for them to have a connection and some close proximity, and I loved it. Was just a great fluffy read to end February on. I gave it 3 stars. It was definitely not a 4-star or 5-star read. It was just a good read. If you like fluffy romances, I would definitely recommend that to you. And then I had 2 Kindle requests for the month. We had my cousin Amanda recommend Catherine Cowell's Whispers of You. I actually really liked it. I gave it, it was okay. I gave it 2 stars. It's a romance thriller. So what I mean by that is that it has a romance plot, but it also has a thriller plot. And I feel like we got rushed into the romance. I will say this was almost a 1 star and it got a 2 star because the whole dang book, I was accusing the wrong person. The romance aside, the thriller part was okay. So that got an extra star. The mystery of it and how the twists and turns of the thriller part of it really excited me. And then my other cousin Holly asked me to read Perfect Strangers. I give that a 1 star. I finished it, but that's about all I can say about it. There were 8,000 plot lines in that book. It was back and forth. The book within the book plot can be interesting if it's done correctly. I just don't think that J.T. Gessinger did it correctly. And the steam in it was literally just there to be steam. There were sections of the book that could have been completely taken out. This book was promising in that if it had had a really good editor, it probably could have been really well done. It just wasn't. And so we're going to end on a happy note though, because my ultimate read for February, and I probably recommended this 100 times since I read it, is June 1st by Jennifer Hartman. This was a 5-star read for me. I am literally going to annotate this book. I'm going to do a video where I annotate and talk about this book. It's a forbidden love book, but it was done so beautifully. So I highly, highly recommend this book. This is the highlight of the month for me. I don't want to talk too much about it because I am going to do a vlog where I annotate this book and we really kind of go into depth about this book, because this book made me laugh. It made me cry. It made me feel things that I didn't even know I could feel. And I will tell you, it started off, I almost DNF'd this book. So I'm excited to do that video for y'all. But that's it. February highlight. And that is all that I read in February. If you guys want sneak peeks at what I'm doing during the month, my Instagram always gives you guys a little sneak peek of everything. I usually post a review after I read something over there. And that is it. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.